Welcome back to the channel, everyone. It's been a while. I've been busy with things in my house, like spring cleaning and doing other dumb things. And completely ignoring my upload schedule that I said I was going to get back into. Anyway, we're going to watch another Illuminaughtii video. This was 5 days ago from Vangelina Skov. And I'm aware that there's a whole drama behind the Vangelina Skov, not from her end, but from some other creator who accused her of plagiarism or some other nonsense. Which, I mean, it's YouTube. Who cares? The only people who really get in trouble for plagiarizing are going to be if you plagiarize from like an actual documentary, and then the documentary company sues you. Then you get in trouble for it. Or I guess if you're at the college level, you're going to get expelled. Yeah, why would you do that when you can just run through AI and have it shuffle all the words? That's not plagiarism, right? I mean, it totally is, but in fact, there's new rules against that. But yeah, let's get into the Illuminaughtii stuff. So this one is titled "Illuminaughtii Could Win Plus New Responses." Yeah, I mean, I'm afraid that Illuminaughtii has a pretty big case against Felix. I don't know 100% against Oz, but Felix's seemed weird. Like when we were going through the Mad Catster video, which I finally got their name right. By the way, that's a fantastic video in general. But the one thing that didn't make sense, though, was the fact that Felix might be breaking NDA, which he might be, just based off of the probability that when he was working for Illuminaughtii, going through all those files for the sad milk stuff, those screenshots were taken on the Discord. But the problem is, were they on a private message or were they in mod Discord? Because Felix was a mod at that point for the Illuminaughtii channel. He may not have been getting paid for it, but that doesn't matter. So let's say he took those screenshots before, like as proof, and held on to it before he started working for Illuminaughtii. Well, that could work in theory, but the problem is once he was hired, Sad Milk was an LLC underneath the umbrella company of Pyramid, which means everything in relation to that, regardless of whether or not it's true or not, is kind of locked underneath Pyramid's umbrella for the NDA. So if he took the screenshots at a later date, which is probably what happened, he probably just had them on his thing, and he probably recently took them within the last year or so. And if he took those screenshots, the problem is it doesn't matter that he wasn't working for Sad Milk. It's underneath the umbrella of Pyramid, which is the big problem. The other thing is, Madcaster was alluding that they were all employees, but I don't think anyone was an employee of Sad Milk LLC except for Blair, which is another problem, because if none of these people were employees, that means they were all technically, from a law standpoint, competitors within the same field, and they were just being hired as like guest stars. It doesn't matter on YouTube if one person works on a car or car videos and the other person works on comedy videos. That doesn't matter. If the way YouTube works is if you take a viewer of any person, watching the YouTube in any way, if you can take a viewer from someone, you're a competitor. It doesn't matter if you're in the same genre at all. It's the same platform, which is what the law will see. So I think there's going to be a huge problem for Felix. So that's my big concern. Now, this is before watching the video, obviously, because I'm a reactor channel. I watch it with you guys, and then I get yelled at in the comments by you guys, which is totally fine. And we're going to do a couple of Illuminaughtii videos today, just because I kind of wanted to get back into it, see what everyone else is saying on the in the sphere, I guess this commentary sphere. I am not a standard commentary channel. I don't generally try to take sides. I'm trying to stay more neutral, so I don't particularly like Blair, but I don't think a lot of the people who are being sued by her are 100% in the right either, regardless of whether or not she's a manipulator or not. But from a legal standpoint, looks like that these guys might also be in the wrong to a degree. So that's where I'm coming at from this. And, I'm not just blanket being like, well, I'm totally going to be like disappointed in the justice system, yada, 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 if Blair wins this case. Well, I just don't care. If she wins the case, she wins the case. And that's just because the judge in the trial, or if it's a trial, with just a judge, if the judge thinks that that everything was against whatever terms of service these guys signed, then they're screwed. And that's all there is to it. I mean, the problem is 60% of the world's lawyers are in the U.S., and we are a very, very litigious country. Anyway, let's get into it.
There are a ton of updates with the Illuminaughtii case at the moment. Not only has Oz Media made a video response to Blair and the legal proceedings that have been going on, but there have also been some major updates on the legal front in terms of the actual case that's going on and some of the decisions that are being made by the judge. And this may include some huge wins for Blair. But at the same time, this might actually all be ending much sooner than we thought. So there is a lot.
It's only going to end if Blair actually cares about canceling. So, for instance, Oz said he wants to end the all this nonsense because of a huge personal event that happened in his life, which you can go watch his video if you want, and she might mention it. But I don't think that will happen unless Blair is, one, either entirely out of money, two, her lawyers need to be paid and she won't pay them, so that will put a damper on things for her. But I think the biggest thing for her is at this point, she already knows her channel's screwed. So I think at this point, she's just going to be like, all right, fine, I'm just going to go scorched earth and I will burn everyone to the ground around me if she has the money to do so. She kind of feels to me like another version of Billy Mitchell, who will just sue people into the ground regardless, even if without taking any sort of deals if possible.
To unpack here, and I'm not normally one who says a lot to unpack because that feels cliche, but in this situation it felt right. I swear to God, if anybody makes a compilation of me saying it's a lot to unpack, then just no, go away. Don't do that. I really don't. Can
you guys do that and like put it in a short or something? Obviously don't use my dumb video, go use the original.
I think I've said it though. I don't know. Now, if you need a reminder of all of this or you want to catch up on the situation, I have an entire playlist of videos about the Illuminaughtii situation.
Should I watch Vangelina's videos on Illuminaughtii, or are they just repeats of other videos that we've seen before?
As well as videos going over different legal documents that will catch you up to speed there. But the very, very condensed short version of this is that Illuminaughtii is suing some of her former friends and employees. These are Oz Media, Wonderstruck, and Felix the KitKat. She's suing these people for defamation and breach of contract. So there's just been a lot of legal back and forth. But if you don't know what's going on, you will probably have to watch some catch-up videos. I'm sorry. I can't explain it all for you in a way that won't take 2 hours. But I want to first go over Oz Media's response. Now, he made a video ages ago talking about Blair and all of the things that she had done. And another video was promised, but this was delayed, mostly because obviously Oz Media still needs to produce regular videos.
That, and he really shouldn't be putting out as many videos as possible, because the reality is the more ammo he puts out, the more likely he's going to make a mistake, and the more likely that it will go against him in a judgment. So that's one reason not to do it until after everything is done. However, having said that, with the potential of it being dismissed or basically pulled back from, there is a chance that one of Illuminati's clauses will be him not being legally allowed to release any videos at this point. So that's a possibility as well. Upside is Oz now has like an extra $30K for legal expenses, so hopefully that'll tide him over for a couple more months.
Videos and make an income, but also presumably because of a lot of the legal stuff going on, because you can't just keep talking on the internet when there's an actual case in front of you.
Exactly.
But now Oz has made a new video talking about the legal case. And
I still think that was risky as heck. I know he said his lawyer signed off on it, but I don't know. I understand why he did it, because it gave him a massive boost. He probably did it for one reason. He ran out of money. He had to. Without anything, his lawyer's like, well, you can't afford me anymore, so I guess go ahead.
This is the first time he's actually talking about this properly in a video. And there may even be another video as well after this one. In this, he has a lot to say about how this case has affected him, but he also goes through the entire timeline of events that have led up to all of this. And it's really important that he goes through the timeline because a lot of what he says is disputing some of the claims that Illuminaughtii herself is trying to make about all of this, especially in regards to the legal stuff.
Yeah, her claims were a little weird on the timeline, right? They were kind of like all over the place. As for like actually proving that, I mean, she might have some extra evidence that we're not aware of.
Like, for example, Oz talks about Illuminaughtii saying in the legal files that she lost specific amounts of revenue.
That's
due to
hard to
their
prove.
actions. So saying that she lost this much money when Oz did this, or lost this much money when Felix did this, and that's their fault. But he goes over the fact that you can start to see that she loses subscribers and income at the same time that she tries to accuse Legal Eagle of plagiarism.
The problem with that is the biggest problem with that is the majority of YouTube didn't really know anything about the Legal Eagle stuff. So she apologized to Legal Eagle, but she didn't really lose any subscribers during her video. Yeah, she lost some subscribers, maybe like 10,000 or whatever, but in the grand scheme of things, that's just 10,000 of 1.7 million at the time, right? So she wasn't really losing that many subscribers until the other videos started dropping, and primarily once the clicks videos dropped. So she could prove technically that it was because of those videos that her income tanked, regardless of what she said in her video. The response, unlikely from the rest of us, it would have been just this little blip in the radar, and she would have been able to keep moving on. So, in theory, she could argue that this was one of the catalysts, even if it wasn't directly the Oz's video specifically. It did potentially contribute to it, even if it was technically her actions. It never would have gotten as big of a backlash. Because the commentary channels would have picked it up maybe for a couple of days, and that would have been it. But no, this has been going on for over a year now, and still going. And she hasn't really posted anything except for that video, and then a dumb ChatGPT response. But based off of all the other videos that continuously drop from the commentary community, that could, in theory, be argued that it contributed to her losing massive amounts of income, regardless of whether or not it's it makes sense or not. It just from a legal standpoint, they were like, well, yeah, that makes sense from a legal standpoint, but from a common sense standpoint, it's just stupid. But whatever.
Allegation 112. Defendant Felix's statement caused special damages as evident by the fact that plaintiff's revenue from videos dropped by more than 95% after defendant's tweet/X was
I want $2,751 for a month.
Published. From
$74,000 is insane.
In the period of November 23rd, 2022, December 23rd, 2022, to $2,751.72.
$74,000 a month?
A year later.
That's
Blair is
crazy.
listing a drop of revenue from a specific date period and ignoring the fact that her revenue had begun to decline.
True, it did start declining back then, but it declined specifically because people were dropping videos on her. Which, it doesn't matter if those videos are objectively true. That's those videos were the reason they were dropping, not just her garbage response video. That definitely didn't help, but that was not why the majority of people left. For instance, a lot of people backed her. A ton of people backed her at the beginning. And if no one had ever actually made a response video to that and just let her keep trucking on, she probably wouldn't have lost that many subscribers. She would have lost some, but a lot of people would have just ignored it. So she could, in theory, be able to prove that.
Are before then. The official date, April 20th, 2023.
Doesn't matter if it's not directly Oz's video. His video did contribute to it.
This is also the day she levied accusations against Legal Eagle. And then, of course,
the problem is it's not just her video.
following her upload of the Illuminati exposed video, the viewership damage is fairly evident.
Yeah. It did drop, but it wasn't just from that video. It was all the response videos right after that. So I don't know if Oz will be able to use this directly, because if it wasn't for those extra response videos, none of this would have happened. It would just gone under the radar again. And it doesn't matter if the response videos were objectively right. That's not the problem here. The problem is Oz can't just claim that it was only her video that caused the damage when we know it was mostly the clicks video. H-Bomber's guy video didn't help a little bit later on. That was another massive amount of damage to her channel. All the one topic video, all those videos, and then all the commentary channels picking it up. None of that helped her channel and was objectively destroying it. My only complaint here is I don't think Oz can argue that it was just that video.
Especially in the following weeks where she saw a rapid decline.
Before we move on, though, I had a quick question for you. What would happen if you took your vape and you got a truck and just ran over it multiple times?
I mean, I assume vapes explode. Is that how those things work?
Well, I don't actually know the answer to that, but you might want to find out once you try Fume, who are
Oh.
sponsoring today's video. Fume
I was like, what?
is an award-winning flavored air device that can help you ditch your bad habits. Flavored air, though,
It can help you ditch certain bad habits. It can't help you ditch all your bad habits, primarily smoking bad habits potentially, but I don't know.
and you could be their next success story. For a limited time, you can use my code Vangelina Skov to get a free Fume base when you order the Journey
It's actually a
pack.
pretty good
The
deal.
base is an all-new magnetic stand for your Fume device.
Oh, never mind. I thought it was like an actual okay.
It's great for holding your Fume, and it's pretty fun to fidget with as well. Head to tryfume.com.
I can also get a magnetic base on Amazon for a nickel.
That's tryfum.com and use code Vangelina Skov or scan the QR code on
Okay,
screen
it'd be
to
like
get your
$5.
free Fume base when you order the Journey Pack today. Thank you so much to Fume for sponsoring today's video. Now let's get on with the rest of it. And that she's
To be fair, for like all ads that come up, it's actually really like enjoyable to listen to her voice because it's smooth while you're listening to an ad. Whereas like Wavy Web Surf, which as much as I love his videos, him talking about Keeps and his hair loss video, hair loss product is kind of grating.
started to lose these things after she uploaded her own video, the Illuminaughtii exposed video, where she talked about all of this and tried to throw her former friends under the bus.
Yeah, but she would have only lost about 10,000 subscribers, maybe 50,000 subscribers. The problem is, as soon as all the commentary channels picked it up, tanked it through the floor, which they were going to do it anyway, because why wouldn't they? It was perfect drama at the time, right? And while this wasn't the reason I started my channel, I was like, I was kind of in the background, be like, man, I want to react to some of this stuff. This would be great. I don't care if I don't get paid. I just want to do it for fun. But I just don't think it can be argued easily that it was her video that just tanked her all the views. It was all the response videos to that video that tanked the reviews, and that's what she's probably going to try and argue in court.
And aired out public information about people. So the dates that she is saying don't actually line up properly, because anytime there's a drop, it's because of her own
Oh yeah,
actions.
those drafts
And
are
along
weird.
with this timeline stuff, he also points out very importantly that there was a few days in between Illuminaughtii accusing Legal Eagle of plagiarism and then everybody making their own Twitter threads about her and the things that she had done to them, allegedly. But the reason that they ended up making these threads is because the Illuminaughtii thing with Legal Eagle blew up. If you don't remember, it was like 5,000 years ago at this point, but it blew up. Everybody was talking about it. Nobody was on Blair's side. So
That's not 100% true. There were plenty of people on Blair's side, not for the Legal Eagle stuff, and that's not on Twitter. But once she released that video, a ton of people were on her side temporarily because she was accusing all the Sad Milk people of being raging psychopaths. because they also posted their twit longer. So the problem here that I see is with YouTube specifically is half this drama unfolded on Twitter, where half of you guys aren't on Twitter. I mean, I have a Twitter, but I've got like 10 followers, and then half the people are on YouTube, where the rest of this drama unfolded. So half the people on YouTube had no idea what the heck was going on, so they automatically defended her. And then obviously the response videos came out, and that backed way up the wrong direction. So she got basically pushed off a cliff after the response videos. So I think that's part of the problem.
So naturally, people were finding her former friends, her former colleagues, because Oz Media, The Click, Wonderstruck, One Topic at a Time, they had all been in the Sad Milk channel together. They had all worked together and collaborated together. So viewers were going and asking these former collaborators, do you know about the Illuminaughtii?
And they're like, yeah, we don't really care, but all right, fine.
Do you have an opinion on this? Why don't you speak out about this? And sometimes also demanding that they speak out.
Because Blair did not publicly...
Yeah, Twitter, YouTube commentators, just anything in the social media space, man. And some of you guys are crazy. I love all of my subscribers and the people who yell at me in my comment section.
Provide a reason or explanation towards her actions, and with the emergence of H-Bomber Guy, Click, and Wonderstruck's threads, it left Twitter frenzied for answers. Those who were familiar with my connections to Blair, as it was public knowledge we were roommates, would begin to DM me or brigade my livestream chats with questions on the situation. Questions such as if I still supported Blair and if I could provide a reason or explanation for her actions.
This is all like guilt by association nonsense.
It was because of users constantly asking me to answer on behalf of Blair, as well as my past colleagues, finally speaking out, that I broke my silence and posted my thread.
So of course then, these people went and made their own statements, but as we know, Blair is trying to frame this as everybody is conspiring against her. They all got together and somehow planned this. But all of this started because of her own...
No, yeah, it totally makes sense, how she's framing it. Could she get away with it, though? Maybe. It really depends on how weird the judge is and what the judge cares about. So it kind of depends on how the lawsuit was filed. There's a possibility she could get away with it because the backlash is so insane. A lot of these people did work together. Now, the other thing is, obviously, there's the fact that, you know, she if it's from a common sense standpoint, if everyone says you're a dick, then it's probably you. Versus, you know, from a legal standpoint of, well, I filed my lawsuit saying that everyone is bullying me, so... It's going to be very interesting in court, but I wouldn't be surprised if she won against Felix.
Actions. And I think maybe this is a good part of the reason that Oz Media went over this entire timeline, and if you want to watch the entire timeline in his words and his going over it, then you absolutely should. Obviously, his video's in the description, and you should check it out for just more than that as well, obviously for his own thoughts and his experience with this.
His video is good. Go check it out.
Whole legal process, which he has said has been very difficult for him, understandably. Not only is it extremely expensive, it's also stressful. It's a lot to go through, and he even said something along the lines of, every time that I see an email notification, it just brings a sense of dread, and that's just a horrible thing to have to go through. They also had some more difficult things happen in their personal life. So this is to do with Oz and his partner, and that is something that I won't really get into much here, but there was a mention of a miscarriage, so that is absolutely awful. And it's unfathomable the amount of stress that this must be putting on them when they're already going through their own personal stress.
Problem is, I just don't think Illuminati cares. If anything, she might take that as a victory, which would be is insane. But if she keeps pushing it forward, I'm gonna think I'm just gonna allegedly say that she just doesn't care. Her entire career is basically destroyed on YouTube. She went from effectively $75,000 a month to $2,000 a month, which, from that type of loss, is huge. But yeah, I'd love $500 a month. But I just don't think she cares, which is the biggest problem here. And I think that's where a lot of people make the mistake of, thinking she might actually be a human. Is I just don't think she cares.
Stress in their own private lives. So because of how much stress this is putting on them, and because of how difficult and drawn out and expensive legal proceedings are, in this video, Oz Media gives a public call to Illuminaughtii to settle this whole case, not just for...
To be fair, he was almost out of money, and now he's gotten like an extra $35,000 from his charity streams. So he's not hurting. He's not directly hurting right now, but you guys are gonna have to keep donating to him. He's gonna need a lot more if this keeps continuing.
Himself, but for everybody involved. And I'm going to read you the terms that Oz is proposing in their own words, just to make sure that I'm clear with all of it. So it's that plaintiffs must dismiss all claims against all parties with prejudice once amicable terms are set forth. The with prejudice bit, if you don't remember, in legal terms means that you dismiss the case and you cannot then bring up a new case for the same thing. Plaintiff and myself will agree on a third party who we both independently trust to host a fair conversation.
This is where I think because the clause is in there that she can't ever bring this lawsuit again, I don't think, this is why I think she won't stop. Because why would she at this point? If she can never ever do this again, she has the most money she's going to have for the moment for this nonsense. She wants to get basically a default judgment potentially against this guy and everyone else, and I don't think she's going to stop because of that. If that wasn't in there and that clause was in there that she could potentially bring it back to court, I understand why Oz put it in there, but I also understand from Illuminati standpoint, why would she stop if the only other option is to dismiss it and never deal with it again? Because everyone keeps going out the fact, well, maybe Blair wants to end this. Why would she? There's every real chance that these two lawsuits are more or less in her favor, even based off of the amendments. Because I think the judge allowed extra amendments for a couple of reasons, and then they also made him a note that the judge themselves made a mistake and said that they could keep adding stuff to it. So why not, when you have such a judge that's messing everything up and being way too lenient? Why not continue?
Their responsibility will be to ensure that each person is not spoken over and is given a chance to clear their mind. I don't know who this third party would be, but it would be very interesting to see if this actually did happen. I feel like if there is any kind of settlement, this might be the piece that Illuminaughtii fights against, because it's very hard to twist the narrative when the other person is sitting right in front of you.
So this was supposed to happen on June 6th or 7th or something like that. My guess is if it did happen, and we haven't heard about it yet, it's because there was a clause in the new settlement that... Now, to be fair, I haven't really done any research. I've been really busy last week, so I may be missing stuff. This is just the first video I pulled up. But there's most likely a clause in there saying that... now, I'm not talking about Felix's case. Felix is probably in a world of hurt. But for Oz, it would be most likely that he's never allowed to talk about it ever again, kind of a deal. That would be a clause that he would have to accept and she would sign off on. So, but the other thing would be he would probably make a counter clause saying that she could also not ever talk about it again, and then hopefully it just kind of disappears, kind of a deal.
Plaintiffs may also take this time to take accountability for their actions instead if they wish. Legal fees
Yeah, good luck
of
with
either
that.
party will not be sought out, and this will be taken for the lawsuit.
No one on the internet takes accountability.
No personal guarantee in either circumstance that Blair would be able to repair her public image or reputation. However, I am giving you the opportunity that your lawsuit will most certainly not. And it was said that this would need to be accepted by June 7th. Now,
7th.
obviously, June 7th has passed, and there has been no word of a settlement yet. However, Oz Media did say that Blair's team are open to negotiating it, so more than likely
Interesting.
the lawyers are talking back and forth amongst themselves, and some kind of decision will be made
So either Blair's running out of money, or she's going to be making a way to force it so Oz can't speak about it.
soon regarding whether there will be a settlement or whether all of this is going to go forward. but there are reasons for and against why you might think that Illuminaughtii may or may not. Whoa, I could not have said that more complicated if I tried. What the hell was that sentence? That was just like word after word of nonsense. Let me make that a bit clearer, if I can. What I'm trying to say is that there has been a lot of updates with the legal proceedings, and because of these updates, it may push Illuminaughtii one way or the other. Because she may think that this is a great deal and listen to Oz Media, who's saying that your public reputation will not be repaired after this. You have done considerable damage.
I don't think she cares, though. I really do. I really think at this point she just does not care. I mean, she abandoned her channel. So if anything, she has another channel or multiple channels, and she's using AI voices, or she's using other people to create the same stuff, which is fine. That's not a problem. And she's letting this channel run. And she might bring it back in like a year or so. But my guess is she's just going to let this channel run in the background, and it's going to keep making probably $1,500 to $2,000 a month for the next 3 to 5 years. And she's just going to let the channel burn out while she does another one. That's it. That's what she's going to do. That's the only thing that makes sense. It doesn't matter. She's probably going to do AI. And that would be the smartest thing for her to do. And yeah, she's probably already monetized, I'd say.
Damage, and continuing with this legal case will probably make you look worse. So she might agree with that and then decide, okay, fine, I'm just going to settle. This stuff is all expensive anyway, and as we know, her channel is not active at all. But at the same time, there have been some wins for her, and that may boost her to feel like she should keep going and keep fighting, because she may win the legal cases. But before I talk about them, I want to point out one last thing that Oz Media said in this video, which is to do with Illuminaughtii and her thoughts on the clique's use of the or slur. Now, if you don't remember,
that nonsense.
The whole thing with Felix the KitKat and the clique and Illuminaughtii is that all allegedly, of course, Illuminaughtii had asked Felix the KitKat to find footage of the clique saying the or slur, and had offered to pay Felix $200 to do this.
This is the part I'm really worried about for Felix. It's the one part that really bugged me.
It was a whole big thing. There's also more to do with this with alt accounts and potential smear campaigns and everything like this. Again, if you...
The problem is the alt accounts and smear campaigns and stuff might not technically be illegal. Yeah, they're scummy, but they're not necessarily illegal per se, unless it's in a political field.
Don't know what I'm
and even then,
about.
it's
I really recommend that you check out some of the videos in the playlist in the description. But she had tried to say that it was such a terrible thing that he had said the or slur, and that she would never ever say it.
Yeah, and she used it herself in private allegedly, and she's probably used it before. And the reality is, a lot of people online have a different persona online, okay? You know, all your online persona, you're supposed to be this like cookie cutter whatever person, and then when you're out and about by yourself in your real life, you're completely different. Your online persona in a lot of ways is a character.
It is not a word that has ever been in her vocabulary. Now, she had used a service, according to Oz Media, to delete old tweets that had used unsavory language that may...
Which, I mean, that's definitely a cool service. Too bad it doesn't affect pictures.
Get her cancelled. But apparently this service does not delete images. And so there is an image of her clear as day saying the or slur. Now, whether you have a strong opinion on this word or not, it doesn't matter here, to be honest. What matters is the hypocrisy of it all, because she is just straight up lied and said, I would never say a word like this, and I think the clique should be cancelled for this. Obviously, she didn't actually say, I think the clique should be cancelled. But the smear campaigns, alleged smear campaigns, and everything else, you know, there's all of that, and there she is saying it. So really here what matters is the hypocrisy. So
yeah, but it's not going to matter from a judge standpoint. They're just going to be like, okay, who cares? That's a word. It's not even that bad of a word. You can't go to jail for it. They can't really sue against anyone for it. I mean, even saying the N-word, while it can cancel you for like job stuff, it can't really put you in court for anything. It's hypocrisy, but this is all the internet. the reality of how many people actually care is relatively small.
You know, kind of hilarious, to be honest. It would
is
be
funny.
if it wasn't so sad. In this video
Yeah.
as well, Oz had a lot of things to
Agree
say
there.
about Felix, but we're going to talk about more of that in a second, because I actually first want to go over the new update in regards to Felix's case. So Felix and his team had filed a motion to dismiss against Illuminauti's case, and now the judge has responded to this motion to dismiss. Viewing the amended complaint in the light most favorable to the plaintiff,
Now, to be fair, most of the time when you sue, the plaintiff will generally be held in more favorable light than the defendant in every case, in almost everything, at least up until the court case happens. So there is some leeway here for the fact that the judge just may not feel like they can just automatically be like, all right, I'm just going to throw this out just because.
court accepts that the portion of the YouTube video referenced in paragraph 63 to 64 of the complaint is the same as the one displayed via screenshots in paragraphs 116 to 20. It shows Blair instructing her employee Felix to help me find Click, a former employee and now competing YouTube.
Let's see here. It shows Miss Blair instructing her employee. So here's the thing. It says former employee, right? But the question is, and this is the biggest thing for me, was Click, was One Topic, were any of these people in Sad Milk ever employees of Sad Milk? Because from what I understand is they never actually signed any parts, any NDA stuff, nothing that happened to be with Sad Milk LLC. Blair did all of this stuff for the LLC in the background herself. That was one of the big sticking points that everyone said that she did all this extra work in the background, and it was because it was the LLC underneath her name. What she didn't potentially tell everyone is that that this Sad Milk LLC was underneath Pyramid. Okay? So the problem with that is if none of these people are actual employees and they're just guest stars. So if I have, one of you guys in the comment section ends up being on my channel as a guest star, right? I'm not going to put you underneath Jeff Squared LLC. I'm going to pay you as a guest star via, either a friends and family kind of payment system, which you were allowed to do up until recently. Even from a business standpoint, businesses were allowed to do friends and family. Only recently was that canceled. So, and then two, if you're going to pay someone anyway through PayPal, you can charge it out as like an independent contractor, which still doesn't make them necessarily an employee of Sad Milk, which I think is the biggest problem that's going to happen with Felix here, is because when he was asked to do this stuff, he was a mod, right? So he wasn't necessarily working for Sad Milk or specifically for Pyramid necessarily. He might have been working for Pyramid at this time. It doesn't really matter what he was doing at this time. It doesn't matter that he found this stuff. It depends on when he took the screenshots, because they're going to argue that it was the screenshots themselves that are the problem. And because he took those screenshots after he started, or after he left, after he was working for Pyramid, after he signed that NDA, which means all the stuff prior, all the stuff under Sad Milk, all that stuff that he did earlier automatically is underneath the NDA now, because the screenshots he took are at a later date. So unless he somehow took those screenshots before he even got hired to Pyramid as like safety, I think he took them after, and they're going to argue that the metadata shows after, and he took them later. So it'd be like someone in my comments section made a good example. It'd be like getting hired it'd be like Company A and Company B plotting the downfall of Company C, but then you getting hired for Company A at a later date, and then going back into those logs, printing out that documents, and then giving those documents to Company C or whatever, and you would still be underneath the NDA even if that conversation took place years before when you weren't working for the NDA. but you had actually helped plot the downfall, and that's part of the problem. And I think that's where Felix might be screwed, because I think the biggest problem here is that none of these people were actually employees, which means they were always competitors. Guest stars can easily be competitors. Even during collabs, you can still be a competitor. And YouTube, every single person on YouTube, regardless of your genre, you are all competitors. We are all competitors with each other trying to get views. 5 million videos are uploaded daily, and only so many eyeballs are able to watch them.
Saying the or slur in Sad Milk's raw audio and offering to pay him $200 to find it. Sad Milk is a YouTube channel created and managed by plaintiff Pyramid. Again, viewing the amended complaint in the light most favorable to the plaintiff, these allegations arguably state plausible claims for breach of both NDA and the agreement. They arguably state...
Because we don't know exactly what that agreement said. So that agreement could have plenty of things that had Sad Milk or any LLC underneath Pyramid. Because there's a good chance Pyramid has multiple LLCs underneath it. Like that candle company, for instance. So, technically the Bitcoin mining thing could be an LLC underneath Pyramid as well. So we don't know how many LLCs are underneath the umbrella of Pyramid.
A plausible claim for the breach of NDA in that they plausibly allege that Felix, without permission, shared with a third party Pyramid information about company operations. And a plausible claim for breach of the agreement, they allege that Felix, without permission, shared with a third party confidential information for the benefit of a third party. The reasons...
To be fair, those screenshots destroyed Illuminautti's channel. That was the catalyst. That right there was the catalyst that actually smashed her channel into the ground, was the clicks video. And those screenshots especially, because when he re-edited that back in, regardless of Illuminaughtii and her 5 whatever sock puppet accounts, by the way, there's potentially more, but you can go check them all out. It was very, very damaging to her channel.
Set forth above, I find that Claim 1 and Claim 2 in plaintiff's second amended complaint each state a plausible claim for breach of contract against Felix. So this is obviously very disappointing. It means that Felix's motion to dismiss the case has been denied.
Now, to be fair, the judge might not agree with it necessarily, but obviously they're like, well, this is what trial's for.
And it is more than likely going to go to court unless something else happens in the interim. But there's a lot of things that we need to talk about here. Firstly, we have the bit where it says it shows Blair instructing her employee to find the click a competing YouTuber saying the or slur. The huge glaring problem with this is that at the time that these messages were occurring between Blair and Felix, so when she was asking him to do this, he was not her employee.
He was a mod for her, though. That could, in fact, make him an employee. But even if he's not an employee. Let's say he was not an employee at the time. It doesn't matter. It's when the screenshots were taken. And the screenshots were likely taken when he was an employee.
He did not become an employee.
And I think that's what a lot of YouTubers seem to miss. But maybe she's going to go over that part. Maybe I'm just jumping the gun on this part. But I think it doesn't matter that it was the screenshots. The screenshots were more than likely taken within the last year. Definitely within the last year, most likely. Those screenshots themselves are the problem, not the information in those screenshots.
7 months later. He did not sign an agreement or an NDA until 7 months later.
And the moment he signed that NDA, all those screenshots, all his ability to take screenshots became locked. He couldn't do it. As soon as he signed the NDA, he could not go back into his previous conversations, which were most likely on mod chat, by the way, within Pyramid, not a private message. They could be a private message, but a lot of that stuff would become automatically locked behind the NDA. It doesn't matter if it was 10 years before. It just becomes locked.
And these things do not work retroactively. This work had nothing to do with Pyramid.
Yes, they don't work retroactively. But if you take brand new screenshots, they do.
Because it was not internal Pyramid operations. This was Blair asking Felix to find some dirt on the click.
If it was within mod chat, It doesn't matter if it's finding dirt. You can totally do that. Companies do it all the time on each other, and it's totally legal. It is very scummy. It is totally legal.
And then paying him $200. Felix not even being an employee at the time. And something that Oz Media points out in his video is that Illuminaughtii paid Felix for this through a PayPal transaction.
Yes, but she probably did friends and family.
And he says, as we have said before in a previous video talking about this, that if this was a business transaction, there should be proper...
I don't think this matters at all in the slightest. I understand why a lot of YouTubers are bringing this up, but it's not based off of what actually happened back then. It's all based off of when those screenshots were taken, most likely in 2023.
For documentation for this to be a business expense, for this to have been paid through the company.
Man, that doesn't matter.
Felix for contracted work. But it's possible that this doesn't exist because we haven't seen it yet. But if this goes to court, this is something that might be asked for. So again, if it goes to court, we might have to...
I don't think it has anything to do with this part. I honestly don't.
Go through Illuminaughtii.
And I know I'm going to be one of the few people who have this weird observation, but it just doesn't make sense that it's about the actual information in the screenshot versus when the screenshot was taken. It just doesn't make sense. It makes sense as that would be, it would all be based off of when the screenshot was taken, and the fact that all the information within the screenshot itself is behind the NDA because of when it was taken. And I think that's the biggest problem that Felix is going to face, because that's probably what the judge is thinking. The judge is like, yeah, this screenshot was taken in 2023, right before this happened. This was not something that he gave to the Click, years ago, before he even started working. So if he had taken these screenshots and then given them to the Click before any of this came out, then it would have been fine. But the Click found out about this after he made his video and was in the middle of making his video, right? So what happened is Felix went back into all his old messages, found that section, and took the screenshot during the time Click was making his response video. That's the problem right there. It's all based off of those screenshots from that point, irrelevant of when the data was originally made years ago. At that point, Felix had already been working for Illuminaughtii, which was a problem.
Financial stuff, she might have to have that thrown out for the world to see, and I assume that's something she doesn't want.
I highly doubt she's going to have to do anything financial for that part of it. It's not going to make any sense. It has nothing to do with that.
Considering
it doesn't matter what the information was.
Some of her dealings already, including that whole tax debacle that happened, if you remember that.
Well, her taxes are her taxes. She can get sued by the IRS for that. That's a whole separate issue, and the IRS will deal with it.
So it's absolutely ridiculous to suggest that what Felix did was a breach of contract because he wasn't in contract.
Yes, he was. He was in contract when he took the screenshots. Damn it. He was absolutely in contract when he gave those screenshots to the Click. If not, it was right after he was... Did Felix get fired before, or did he quit before or after the NDA type stuff? Because it doesn't matter. It really depends on how that NDA worked. But it sounds like he was still working for Illuminaughtii when he sent those screenshots to the Click, which means he was in contract at that point. And that's a problem. That's a huge problem.
He wasn't under the NDA because he was not an employee yet and hadn't signed anything.
That doesn't matter.
But in fairness to the judge, he is the judge and I am not. So, he went through a lot more schooling than I did. But it is required for the judge to give more leeway to the plaintiff. So to the person filing the claim, this is Illuminaughtii in this case. That's how this works. And
that's true. Most plaintiffs get a lot more leeway, even if they're in the wrong. But that's why lawsuits are so much easier to file against someone versus the other way around.
He didn't have this information in front of him, I guess, to say that.
No, he absolutely had this information in front of him, and he's looking at it. He's like, yeah, the screenshot was taken when? Right here, underneath within the contract period. Absolutely. I don't care if the information was from before he worked here. He could not take a screenshot of Sad Milk LLC stuff while he was working for Pyramid at the time because they were underneath the same NDA. It does not matter that the information was taken before he worked for her. The fact is the screenshots were taken after. That's the only thing that makes sense. If the screenshots were somehow just sitting on his hard drive, he still might not have been able to hand them over to the Click because he had already taken the NDA for Pyramid, which means all that information more or less becomes locked because it becomes internal communication. And the biggest thing I have is I know Felix was a mod at that point, which means did this conversation happen in mod chat? Because if it did, that makes it even worse for Felix.
Felix is not an employee, or was not an employee at this time, so he made that decision. I don't know if there's something that can be done from Felix's end of, you know, doing a motion to dismiss the motion to...
Felix is probably stuck. He's going to have to go to court and somehow prove it. But I don't know. Felix might lose this one.
The dismissal of the motion to dismiss. Try saying that fast. Which is obviously not what this is officially called. But if they can do something like that and say, look, I wasn't even an employee, this is not plausible.
That's not what matters. He was an employee when this happened.
Plausible. I don't know. But if nothing is done and Illuminaughtii doesn't take this whole settlement thing, then this will go to court. As you will know as well, Oz Media also filed a motion to dismiss, and the judge has also responded to that. This one is a lot longer. It goes into a few different things. So firstly, it goes on about the anti-slap motion, which was Oz Media's team arguing that this is a slap case, so just a legal case to shut him up. And Colorado, the state where this is all happening, has an anti-slap statute, so this shouldn't be allowed.
August 29th, 2023, Blair would submit a new set of temporary restraining orders.
Me and my commenters kind of went through a lot of the anti-slap stuff for Colorado. One, it's a relatively new law, but the biggest problem with it is it seems to only affect like local politician type stuff. So it doesn't have as much power when it comes to online stuff. It can affect online posts, but only when it's in regards to something local within the state. So it's more of a gray area because YouTube is technically like a global thing versus affecting anyone specifically within a state, like a local business or a kind of a local event, local politician type thing. So the anti-slap law is very limited in Colorado in a lot of ways.
Which were denied, as well as her lawsuit against Felix, Wonder, and myself for defamation and breach of contract. It is of my opinion that Blair timed these events so I could only fight one. The foreclosure or the lawsuit, not both. I do believe that if I did not speak out against her in April, she would not have put my home through foreclosure proceedings.
She probably would have. She probably would have done it anyway.
These actions, timed alongside the lawsuit, it does make me firmly believe, in my opinion, it's retaliatory in nature. The restraining orders in question were to
be fair, I mean, and a lot of people did not like this take, but she could have put his house in foreclosure whenever she wanted because of one reason. He was not paying her. He was behind on payments. I mean, I get it, but he was behind on payments. She had every right to foreclose on him whenever she damn well wanted to. And she might have been like, oh, this is mean. I can wait till the point where, Oz will never be able to cure the loan. But I think the reality is, she should have started foreclosure the moment he missed his first 30 days. And then he never would have been able to say, well, she timed this. But the reality is Oz was behind on payments. So, and I don't understand how there can be such a, he was behind on payments. Once you're behind on payments, you're behind on payments. There's nothing you can really do about that.
Once more, prevent publication of any information on Blair. In this restraining order, Blair directly cites the video I was originally producing as a documentary on her actions as grounds to allow this pseudo-gag order to proceed. Quoting this TRO, here, however, plaintiff's request for relief will cause defendants no harm, because they simply must refrain from publishing what is essentially an online op-ed piece, which they have admitted will lambaste plaintiffs. I
mean, why wouldn't she go towards that? Obviously, she would. it makes every sense that she would definitely want to stop any sort of video out coming out against her. Why not sue at the same time for that? That makes sense because it's going to give people pause. Is it right? Probably not. But why wouldn't she? She's obviously going to do it. She doesn't care.
Court deemed
Allegedly.
plaintiff's claims to be unnecessary. Defendants can simply publish their video.
It also then goes into the breach of contract claims. The first claim for relief for breach of contract alleges that Oz entered into an agreement with Pyramid that required that he not use confidential information or proprietary data for the benefit of any other person, corporation, or entity other than the employer during the term of the employee's employment.
This is reading like ChatGPT, but I assume that this is all actual lawyer stuff.
Employer or any time thereafter, and that he breached this agreement by using confidential or proprietary information to defame or otherwise harm Blair. Oz contends that the breach of contract claim against him should be dismissed because it fails to set out with particularity his statements or other conduct that allegedly breached the agreement. So basically that Blair's claims are not clear enough. She's making these claims but not saying what things exactly are breaching the
This is where the judge apparently let like 3 different amendments come to, right?
Contract and how. Paragraph 46 alleges that in September of 2023, Oz released a YouTube video titled Let's Talk, an update on the Illuminaughtii drama, which contained accusations in which Oz falsely accused plaintiffs of embezzlement. But nothing in either paragraph sets out the specifics as to how...
So the problem here is... Oz actually used the word embezzlement, even though he didn't directly say that Illuminati had used that word. He did technically imply it by just even bringing that word up, which is part of the problem from a legal standpoint, because judge is going to look at that video and be like, well, I mean, I would assume that she was embezzling based off of the fact that he said, I didn't know if she embezzled. I don't even remember if she used that word. But from a judge's standpoint, I'd be like, yeah, you did imply she was embezzling. You just didn't remember if that was the exact word. And maybe it was a word similar to embezzlement that means embezzlement, you know. So unfortunately, yeah, she could definitely post that on the on the court documents and get away, at least into trial for that. It may not be enough proof of anything, but I could definitely see that being enough just to push it into trial.
How Oz purportedly used confidential or proprietary information to defame or otherwise harm Blair. So this is then agreeing with what Oz's lawyer said, which is that Blair's claims do not properly lay out how he actually breached contract. No such specific factual allegations support this claim, and accordingly it is dismissed. So this is a good win for Oz. Something is actually being
small things. There's always small things.
Being dismissed, thank God. But then we get on to the defamation portion. Oz contends that the remaining claims against him, the 3rd and 4th causes of action, should be dismissed because of the anti-slap statute. The statements identified in Claim 3 made in a YouTube video by Oz after the case was filed, and Claim 4 is to do with Oz allegedly accusing Blair of having placed him in a dependent, arguably coercive financial relationship with her. And unfortunately...
So... I guess the embezzlement claim is still standing, huh? As for the coercion one, I don't know. I guess we'll see how that one goes.
The judge says that the anti-slap statute does not apply because Oz cannot satisfy the threshold part of the analysis. So basically saying that Oz's claims about Illuminaughtii are not an issue of public interest, which is part of the criteria for an anti-slap statute. So because it doesn't meet the threshold for the anti-slap statute, he goes on to talk...
The problem with the public interest is a lot of people had automatically assumed it meant public, like as in YouTube is a public forum type of deal. Public interest in this case appears to be more of public interest in Colorado, public interest in, a state in Colorado, or a city in Colorado, public interest in an entity in Colorado. It has to be within Colorado type of deal. At least as far as the majority of how this anti-slap law works. So, and it hasn't really been used either. It's been used like once. So, and it was only for like a local political thing. So it might have even more restrictions that we're not even aware of.
About a different standard, the Warn standard. This apparently is the traditional elements of a defamation claim are a defamatory statement concerning another published to a third party with fault amounting to at least negligence on the part of the publisher, either accountability of the statement irrespective of special damages or the existence of special damages to the plaintiffs caused by publication. So it's just a big way of looking at whether a statement is defamatory or not based on a certain amount of criteria. Now, I won't go through the entire bit of the judge talking about the reasons why
Madcaster has that video.
do or do not meet these criteria because it's long and it's a bunch of legal stuff. But it says here, accordingly, I find that Claim 3 satisfies the Warn standard, but Claim 4 does not. Finally, then, it goes on to talk about the...
So Claim 3 is the embezzlement one, so maybe that does work in the Warn standard. Okay, but yeah, Claim 4 with the coercion one probably doesn't because there's not enough information on it, at least on the filing.
Ninth claim for relief. So if you remember, Illuminaughtii had to make a second amended complaint. So the complaint that she made was so lacking and so terrible that the judge said, you need to do a better job of this and explain verbatim the statements that you're saying are defamation, are breach of contract. You need to do better. And she resubmitted this. She did her new...
And she was late or something, right?
Claim. However, she added something to it. Oz objects to plaintiff's ninth claim for relief for computer fraud. So this was the new thing that she added.
Right. She did add that, but the court was like, well, we didn't say you couldn't, so they were just letting it go through.
On the ground that the amendment to include this claim was not approved by the court. And then the judge says, I will approve the inclusion of the ninth claim for relief in the second amended complaint, but it will be my expectation that the complaint is now in its final form. So she is getting to include this thing even though she didn't include it originally for some reason. For the reasons set forth above, Oz...
To be fair, the judge acknowledged that they didn't say they couldn't. So this was on the judge themselves, and they're like, all right, fine, I screwed up. I'll let it go through. So that's the reason it went through. That's it. That's the only reason.
His motion to dismiss is granted in part. Dismissal of the first and fourth claim for relief against defendant Oz is granted. Dismissal for the third and ninth claim for relief.
So, are there a bunch of claims in there that weren't mentioned in this? So, okay, so first and fourth are dismissed. Third, was third embezzlement? I thought third was dismissed, but I guess not. So third and ninth. Okay, so the embezzlement... word might have a much more hold on this than we thought. But what about like the second, fifth, sixth, eighth, seventh? Are there more claims that are in here that are just not being shown?
Relief is denied. So half of it has been dismissed, which is a good thing.
Well, that's the thing, though. Has half of it been dismissed, or are we still missing multiple claims? I don't understand why these claims go up to the ninth claim, but we've only seen 4 on here.
Means that he won't have to fight all of it, but unfortunately, some of it still is going forward. And again, the same thing I said with Felix. If nothing happens in the interim, and if Blair doesn't...
I really think the Felix, a lot of people are getting the Felix stuff wrong. And I think, I'm sure a lot of people are going to yell at me in the comment section about it, where I'm wrong, which is fine. Go ahead. Absolutely go do that. I love the conversations that we have in our comment section. And I love it when, like, for instance, I was really, really wrong about the Colorado has a really weird way they do their foreclosure system. And I'm just not used to it. And I was totally wrong on that one, on the fact that I was convinced, without a doubt, that Blair could not start the foreclosure, and it had to be the third party whatever holder. And apparently Blair could start the foreclosure. Now, she should have just started it right off the bat. Shouldn't have held on to it, but she waited for some reason, which appeared to backfire because a bunch of people wanted to help Oz with that, because if that hadn't happened, no one would have helped him. But as for Felix, though, man, I am really worried about that one, because I'm pretty sure a lot of YouTubers are really getting that wrong.
Accept some kind of settlement, and they can't agree to some kind of settlement, then this will end up in court. And my worry is that because of the small win that Illuminaughtii has had with being granted some of this to go forward, and as well Felix's motion to dismiss being denied, that she might think that she has a huge chance and will just continue with it.
Oh no, she's absolutely most likely going to continue. I see no reason for her to stop. I just don't see her doing it. I don't see a reason for, even if she's watching all Oz and Felix and all these guys get, $50,000 in donations toward their legal fees. I just don't see her stopping. If she has enough in savings, she could be fighting this legal battle with interest alone, and nothing, with zero of her actual main money down. She could easily be fighting this with interest. If she has $2 million in savings, regardless of her credit, she could easily be making $50,000, upwards of probably $40,000 a year in interest alone. It just really depends on how much disposable income she has, but I honestly don't think she's going to stop. Why would she? She has partial wins. She has almost 100% win apparently so far against Felix, and at least 2 claims we know of are wins against Oz. I don't know where those missing claims are, or if they even exist. I don't understand why it didn't show claims 2, claim 5, claim 6, 7, 8, but it showed 9. So there must be claims that were missing that might be still be going through, unless claims are just written weird.
This and will ruin everybody financially, essentially, and it'll just be a long, stressful process for everybody involved.
Well, okay, to be fair, it's not going to ruin Illuminaughtii financially, most likely. These guys are already ruined financially, regardless of what happens, because no matter what happens, Oz still owes Illuminaughtii like probably 30 to 150K. On top of whatever he owes for his house. So regardless, he's more or less ruined financially for the moment. Maybe he'll be fine over time, but for the next 5 years, he's going to be struggling.
Oz Media has said that he's okay with going forward with this if that's what has to happen. He's not worried about it because he believes he's in the right.
And there's always the fact that, so many people love Oz and they're going to donate, tens of thousands of dollars to him. And there's nothing wrong with that. Back whoever you feel like. I don't care if you back Blair. I don't think she needs the money, but you can back her if you want. I don't care if you back Oz. I mean, the reality is, we're all YouTubers, and we're looking at this on the outside in. So we're still, all of us, no matter what, we're all missing lots of actual information. We're only given the information that they've let us see. So they're in, the public court documents, but there's a lot that's still missing.
And that's great, but it will still be stressful. No matter what happens, it's going to be stressful and expensive and time consuming for everybody, because if it goes to court, this will go on for years. But we will be waiting for the update on this whole thing in case there is some kind of settlement.
It'll either go on for years or someone's going to get bankrupted first. That's it. That's how courts work in the U.S.
Agreement. Honestly, for everybody involved, it seems like the best way forward. I mean, what is anybody going to achieve from this? If Illuminaughtii were to...
Scorched earth. She will achieve scorched earth. That's what she wants. That's all she cares about, most likely, at this point. Why would she care about an actual money settlement at that point? She effectively wants to bankrupt people, most likely. And, yeah, okay. It's a jerk move, but, I mean, people do it all the time. Lots of people are super vindictive, and they will absolutely bankrupt someone for no reason.
Win this case, which I personally don't believe would happen, just given what we can even...
I think she will win the Felix one.
...see without all the background information. But if she were to win, all she would get out of this is a win. Besides that, she will have...
Now, she won't just get a win. She'll basically be able to make it so it will financially destroy them for years to come. It won't fix her YouTube channel, but her YouTube channel can't be fixed. So at this point, she's like, why not financially destroy them? That's all that matters.
Completely destroyed any chance of rebuilding her reputation and any chance of keeping her brand. So
yeah, but she can just build another brand. With AI, not a problem.
This just doesn't seem like a win for anybody, to be honest. So we have yet to see we will see what happens. In the meantime, Oz does have another GoFundMe, so I will link that in the description.
Yep, and there will be a link down in the description of my video for Oz's GoFundMe. It's definitely made a bunch. Definitely go help. If you want to see this continue, regardless of who wins or not, whatnot, go ahead and donate to it. Because Oz definitely needs the money, whereas I'm sure Illuminati's fine.
Description. And I also want to say a huge thank you to Mad Catster. He was the one who found these documents, and also...
Yeah, he's got access to the documents. I mean, technically everyone does. They're all public record, but you got to know where to look, and that's the big thing.
Really, really kindly emailed them to me. I didn't even have to ask for them. He just emailed them to me, so I was really appreciative of that. Thank you, Madcaster, for that, and obviously Madcaster is in the description.
Madcaster's videos are especially good, not just because of the legal analysis for the most part. Aside from me disagreeing on the Felix stuff, a lot of their stuff is really accurate, primarily because they're an actual lawyer. But the big thing with their channel is, from what I understand, is all the money they earn on their channel goes towards their philanthropy thing on the side, because they rescue cats. So definitely they have an Amazon wish list over there. You can go and buy stuff for the cats specifically. So that's actually pretty cool. So maybe go check out that channel.
Catster went quite deeply into these, so you can check out his channel as well, and obviously check out Oz's video. But that's going to be it for me for now, so let me know in the comments what you thought about all of this. And if you don't want to leave me a comment about that, then let me know what you ate today, because
is that a thing?
Comments help my engagement. I had some tofu.
What did I eat today? Nothing good. Cereal with the Coca-Cola and vodka.
It was delicious. Tofu and vegetables. It's great time. Also remember that
she's gonna live forever.
You can still get for a limited time the Small Clams Court merch. If you know, you know.
I guess she has custom merch. Obviously, go buy her stuff. For the most part, we're going to check out some more of Skov's videos, because a lot of people said they wanted to see more of those, and maybe I'll add some more today. But yeah, my only disagreement for the most part is Felix. I think when Felix took those screenshots, he was underneath the NDA. That's what I'm going to say. And I think everyone else is missing the fact. They're like, no, it's because he was working before there. It's only based off the screenshot timing. I know I'm a broken record on this, but it's one huge glaring error on how I see how this, why this was able to move forward. And that's just because of when those screenshots had to have been taken. And it had to have been in sometime in 2023, right before the Click put his video out. Because that... Even that alone just destroyed the channel.
Check that out, link in the description as well. Honestly, link in the description for everything. For Patreon, check that out.
Should I start a Patreon? I don't know what I would do. I'm a reaction channel. I guess I could react to stuff that I'm not allowed to put on YouTube. But even then, if I do that, can I put it on Patreon? I don't know how Patreon works. Should I start channel memberships? Make them. I think the lowest I can make them is $1. I don't know. Maybe we'll do channel memberships. I'm not the best with that. With that, I'm a reaction channel. You can request reactions from me for free. Why would you pay for it?
Merch for my social media, which is Vangelina Skov everywhere. Please don't forget to subscribe. It helps me a lot if you do that. Genuinely, that is the big one.
I want a silver play button.
If you do nothing else at the end of this video, if you check nothing out, at least subscribe. Thank you.
Just asking you guys to subscribe actually help on my channel, or is it just get you to unsubscribe? Anyway, yeah, go check out her channel. She has definitely a lot of good takes. I like her voice is great, so it's just nice and easy to listen to. It doesn't have some weird grating voice, which, you know, I'm sure my voice is dumb. So, but yeah, go check out her channel. My only disagreement right here is gonna be the Felix case, but that's it. I mean, it's the Illuminati stuff, and you guys know me by now. I am not going to argue, or I'm not going to agree with anyone in the commentary sphere who all parrot the same stuff. I'm going to try and come in at a more neutral standpoint, because I honestly don't care about anyone in these videos. It's just more interesting to talk about it. But yeah, definitely tell me in the comments how much of a dumbass I am. All right, see you guys later.